So yesterday we studied about something that's very, very important to every infrastructure, architecture, everything that you guys create. Why is it so? Is because security is basically a major part of our infrastructure. So we should, and to understand the importance of security, start using the security and take control of that infrastructure, take control of each and every request is very, very important for us. uh, why is it so? Is because what are reasons that we have already discussed, that we want to maintain that level of security, safety in our infrastructure, because we are not only dealing with our code and others, but we are dealing with customers data. So if we in any case lose customer data or compromise customer data, then our customers details will be shared, which will not bring a very good reputation for our company. It happened with Facebook and others, as you have already seen in this upcoming scenario, where there was, like, Facebook was called in US Congress to actually understand and to actually answer all of these questions as to how and why they are sharing the data. They should not be sharing the data. In fact, if you have two companies, and in those two companies also, if you're sharing any data, that is also not acceptable. As in, you own two companies, X and Y. You use X data to run Y's business is not what is allowed. Okay, in like according to the law. Okay, and this is even like another thing that is more important here is that it is not legal and ethical in both ways. Okay, now when it comes to security, we can put security in almost all the components, or mostly all the components or services in AWS. So we tried putting security in EC2 instance by adding security groups. Okay, there are more security aspects that you can implement. Okay, but we'll take them later. Let's start with implementing security in your VPC. Okay, now what I'm trying to say here is that you have a VPC. In your VPC, you have several subnets. In your several subnets, you have some resources. Okay, you can put security to all of these resources itself. Okay, but what about the network part? Okay, we still have to maintain network level security, because in case somebody enters the network and somewhere somebody has done something wrong anywhere in the network, it can be misused. Plus, all of these hackers will find different ways to get into the network. It's not only going to be just one way of going into the network. There will be many ways to go into the network. So to take control over the entire VPC network is there is something called as NACLs that we use, network ACL. Okay, as I mentioned yesterday, security groups are lookalikes for firewalls, but they are not firewalls, because in firewalls you have allow rule, deny rule, and all of that. But in security group, it's basically based on the port and source that you can identify whether you want to allow the request. There's no deny option there. Okay, so but NACLs are very similar to your firewalls. Let's try and understand what a NACL is, how to implement it, and where do we implement it. Okay, now I'm giving you guys all of this information again and again is because I want to maintain that culture within the team, within our team. Okay, and going forward, whenever you will be joining another company as well, this is one thing that you should always be taking care of. Okay, you should always have this somewhere in back of your mind, that how will I implement security, how will I take care of the security, am I not, like, because we are professionals. Our task is to professionally manage infrastructures when we are in cloud ops team, or some like sometimes in DevOps team and SRE team too. So when we are in these teams, we'll have to think about the security part. Others can make mistake, but not us. Okay. Generally, teams, like some of the teams do use VPC NACLs. Okay. Some don't. Some put security rules directly on the systems only rather than doing it via NACLs. Okay. But I wanted to explain you this feature so that you can use it.
Parul, I didn't understand one thing. You said they will apply to the system directly. How? I mean, how is it?
Sorry.
You said they will apply the security directly on the system. Which? How is it?
Okay. Not NACLs. I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about security groups.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. There are two ways to apply security in this. Either you apply security to the entire network, as in, okay, let me explain what happens. If you live in big societies which have multiple towers and all of that, they will have their own security. That is going to be security of the entire thing. Okay.
Mm.
That entire society. But when you live in one building of that society also, you will have a security guard. So there are multiple level of security here. One security level is at network. Okay. Another security level is at the machine or the resource which you're trying to access. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Mm.
So that's what I wanted to explain. So we studied resource level security. Resource level security is
Yeah. Security
just
group.
a security guard nearby.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay. Mm.
Just below your building. He'll take care. But what about outside? It's a big society. You build a big township and everything. When it is like when it is a township and all of that, in that they will have their own internal security also, because it's a big area. They have to maintain that area level security also before somebody reaches there. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Now I am interrelating these things in your mind is having this. You don't have to remember that in a township you will have your own security, and other in your tower also you will have a security. So
Mm.
this will help you map your resources with something that you see around you. Okay. So it will give you like you don't have to remember, as in
Mm.
where security groups are applied, where NACLs are applied, where this is applied. These same examples, okay,
Okay. Okay.
will help you remember all of these things. Plus you can use these examples also in your interview. You can tell them that, okay, you can tell them the definition and then you can give them examples.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. Now you see what is happening here. I created a VPC. Okay. In this VPC I have created one subnet, one public subnet, which will create one route table for it and an IGW, and attach it to an IGW. So when it is
Mm.
attaching to an IGW, it is actually creating an internet gateway, attaching that internet gateway here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Now all of this is done via the wizard part. Okay, you can do it manually also. We have already discussed how to create all of these resources manually, your subnets manually, how to create a route table manually, and all of that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. Now, one thing, there are few options that we have kind of not explored yet. Okay. When you come to a public subnet, you see in this, we have these many IPs. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It should have 4094 IPs. Okay. From this is the minimum host, this is the minimum IP, and this is the maximum IP that you can give in this IP range.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It, we are giving a range. So how do we give a range in general numbers? From choose something from 1 to 10. Okay, so you can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? So similarly, IP range is a range of IPs. So from this IP, starting from this IP to this IP is this IP. This is the IP range that you have for this particular subnet. Okay, which counts, like the count comes out to be 4094, but here available is only 4091, and both of them are /20/20, but this will have 4090 only. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
why is this variation? This variation is because when you are actually creating a VPC, it's not only just the main things that we see. Okay, there are other things also that are created in background which needs an IP, and they'll be given or assigned an IP, like DHCP option. Okay, like example, DHCP option is one thing that needs an IP. Okay, if it is created in this. So, and there are other resources that are created. So for a for creating security for these particular networks or VPCs, we have something called as network ACLs. Okay, NACLs. These NACLs, if I want to create a, let me create a simple NACL here for now. Okay, then I'll attach it to my VPC. Test VPC. I am attaching it to my VPC. Okay, and we'll create a test network ACL DevOps something, anything you can give. Okay, generally try to keep, like when you are naming something, try to keep it like similar resource name and then the environment name, then the resource name. So my environment is DevOps course. Okay, and resource name is network ACL, and I can write NACL, or I can write network ACL, I can write ACL, whichever things I'm comfortable with. I'll create it. As soon as you'll create it, you'll find some inbound rules automatically created, which will deny everything. Okay, so outbound all traffic denied, inbound all traffic denied, outbound all traffic denied. Okay, but there is no subnet association here. Inbound, now here if you see, inbound all traffic allowed. Okay, and inbound all traffic denied. So which one will take priority? First one, because rule number is higher. So rule number is also will define which rule will be applied first. It is a sequential way. It is very, very similar to what you see in a firewall. In a firewall, you can have multiple rules. All of them will be executed sequentially till the time you match a rule. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So now when you say all traffic allowed, it means it is allowing all the traffic inside. Okay. Outbound, again, similar way. Now if I attach, wait, let me attach my subnet to this one. So now my subnet is attached to this one rather than this one. Okay. Let me create an EC2 instance in this subnet. You can write EC2, you can write public instance, you can write instance, you can write this, anything you feel like. Okay. I am giving it same security group as we were giving yesterday. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Which means I'll also show you guys how it looks like launch instance. Now I'm launching an instance. This is what I see. Okay. Now I'm coming to security group again. I'll see it is allowed 22 from only my IP. My IP might have changed. So I'll go back to this and allow. Let me allow it from everywhere. Okay. For now. So now I'm going back to my EC2 instance. I'll see my security group allowed from everywhere. Okay. So it is a public instance. It has a public IP. It has everything. It has security group attached to it. So I should be able to reach that machine, right? Correct? Any doubts, anyone? Can anyone tell me why I should be able to reach to that system?
Yeah, it's like if
Because it is already allowed in the security group.
security group.
I can reach this system. Why? Because it is in a subnet which has this NACL attached to it. Okay. Let me change. Let me launch a new instance, but this time I'm launching it in my network. Okay. Last time I launched it in the default network, which has everything allowed. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
This time I'll edit the network settings, launch it in this network, this subnet, enable auto assign public IP. I will assign, okay, I don't have that security group here, so I'll assign the default security group. I'll see what is the access that we have there. I'll come here, security group. It has all traffic allowed from this network. So I'll say all traffic 22 allowed from everywhere. Okay. So again, 22 allowed from everywhere. So it should be accessible, right? I should be able to log into the system, right? Because I have security group, I have security and everything. But sorry, I'm unable to. Can anyone answer why I am unable to access this system?
Can you show what this you have attached the sub NACL rule? I couldn't
How
follow.
will I go to NACL? Good, let me go. Okay.
Yeah, it's deny. That's right.
Perfect. So that's what I'm trying to mention here, that you have network first and then you have the resource. Even if you have given access to this resource from this network, which is outside, it will still not be able to access this machine because it is there in a certain network and the network itself is blocking the request.
Blocking.
Okay. It is very similar to a firewall. Example, you are in this network and you want to go to this network. This is the firewall. If this here I have given access. Okay. Here you have access to do everything you want to. Here you have access to do everything you want to. But since there is a firewall in the middle, this request will first go to firewall. If firewall has rejected that request,
Yeah.
okay, then you won't be able to reach here, even if you have access to everything here. Okay, that's what is happening right now. Now, what happened here? How will you identify that it is coming in from some firewall?
Timeout.
Timeout is one option to see that the operation timed out, which means it is trying to connect but timed out. Sometimes if like if it is an HTTP request and it is rejected by a, because these like these exit codes or these error messages that you get is also very much dependent upon, number one, uh, the type of connection that you're trying to make. Okay, if it is an HTTP connection, you must have received connection refused rather than timed out. Here, it is giving you timeout because it's an SSH
SSH.
connection. When you try to do an SSH connection, it doesn't reject. It doesn't reject it. It just tries to connect till the time it can connect. Else, there is a timeout limit. It will just come back out after the timeout without giving an
Mm.
error. Okay.
Okay.
So now, if I want to allow it, but I want to allow it only. Now, how will I write a rule is something that I wanted to explain here. So here I am at NACL. Okay, here I've clicked only on NACL association rules, as in you can just change the association. Let me try and change the association first. Okay, then I'll make changes in the NACL. I have attached this NACL here, which has allowed the request. So I'm able to connect to that system.
Yeah.
Okay, now let me change the association once again to the previous one and fix that access first. Okay. Generally, companies don't deal with NACL so much. They will go ahead and do it on the resource. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to have more security, if your company is wants to have a high level of security, then this is also one option that you have.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I came back to this NACL. Here I am. I want to update the inbound rule. That is the incoming request. So I'll add a new rule. Okay. Let me add allow TCP, custom TCP 22. Okay. Allow only 22. That's it. If I save the changes, will it work? No. What if I
Mm,
give something like, I can give anything from 1 to this. Generally, we'll start with 100, 99, 98, something like that. Now my inbound rules look something like this. Let me see, will I be able to SSH now?
okay. Even if you attach the NACL which has inbound, it is not able to connect.
Why?
Association. Okay.
Let me make a change. I was able to log in because if your
Outbound.
request came in, it needs some way to return back the response also, right? That's how it will be visible on my system. So if outbound is closed, it will not allow that request. Let me allow traffic only for protocol. It anyways rejected now because client port can might be a bit different than the connection port.
Okay.
Now it
Okay.
worked. Okay, cool. Again, let me make a change. You guys tell me what will happen in this case. Okay,
Okay.
because I don't want you to just know
Yeah.
one thing but holistic. So this is how my inbound rule look like right now.
Okay.
Okay, will it allow, will it deny?
It will deny.
Perfect. Because of this rule number,
Oh, because
as
you.
in it allow it runs all of these rules sequentially. Now another thing, deny for all but only allow for me. Let me get my IP. um,
Host.
no, that will not be my public IP. I had a command to find the public IP, but okay.
Oh, the IP you give that will be private, is it? Usually.
Generally, that IP that we get here,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Uh, if you give a host name will not work. If you give if config, you will get some IPs, but these will all be private ones. This is
Private.
loopback. These are all private ones. You might not get your
Okay.
public IP that's publicly
Okay.
available. So generally, yeah, this is what we awesome. IPv4, come on. There was this IPv.
That above one. Mind map. Okay.
Now let me get the command for you. I just forgot that command. Yeah. What if I want to get my private one? If config. There were some of them which used to give me private ones. 1 minute, guys. So these are all private interfaces.
Mm-hmm.
Public IP. Let me see if that works. Yeah. Although I never used this one, I there was some if config or some other one that I used before, but okay, let it be. For now, I'll be giving my public IP, here. Now tell me whether it will allow or deny.
Um, no, first one is anyhow deny.
But
99.
here I've explicitly given allow for this one and deny for everything else.
Allow. Yeah, it will deny because the number is 99. I mean, that will be executed, the first one.
Yeah, it will match the first rule and it will deny the request. Now, if you want to allow it, okay, you can do it in this way. That is, make sure that the second rule, if you want to allow all the things first and then add a wildcard deny rule. That's what generally everyone does. Okay,
Okay.
give all the allow rules first and then the wildcard deny rule, that okay, deny this. As in, if any one of these is if request is not coming from any one of these, then deny.
No,
That's what
then
it
why
does.
do we add? No, we can just add the allow, correct? Why need to add the general deny?
In general, deny, why do we add this deny thing is because we need to tell it what we have to do for the other traffic. Like if this rule wouldn't have been there,
Mm-hmm.
okay, then it would have been completely incomplete request. Why? Is because if it doesn't match to all of these, then what to do?
No, I mean, in this case, anyhow we have star. I mean, anyhow it will
Yeah,
deny
in this
others.
case we have all traffic, so
Mm.
that doesn't make sense, but you can still have like
Okay, others.
other rules, other things. Like I'm generally talking about in
Okay.
general sense, because this is not going to help you with NACLs, because in NACLs you'll already have a deny, but when you go ahead and try to configure some firewall or some other thing, it
Mm-hmm.
might help there a bit.
Okay,
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 to understand how it works and how it processes a request.
okay, okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this was simply a simple NACL. Now, what if I want to have one more subnet here? So I have created a simple subnet and will attach a simple route table here. So I have created this also as a public subnet only, because I have attached it to a route table which has IGW attached to it.
Mm.
Now, let me see if, so by default, it will attach a default default association. So with this, I would like to mention that if there are two subnets, it is possible that one subnet is attached to a different NACL, another subnet is attached to a different NACL.
Oh,
Okay?
okay. Yeah.
Why? Because rules for every subnet can be different. So now let me explain you where it is used in the infrastructure. Example, if I have an infrastructure, okay, this is my, I'll explain it in VPC scenario. Let me get the whiteboard there. So I'm not only helping you design it, but understand where to exactly
Yeah.
use this option. Also, also it might not help you immediately, but will help you more and more if you start doing cloud ops, start using and designing this also a bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Example, this is my VPC. In my VPC, I create this VPC in some region which has two availability zones. Okay. In these two availability zones, I have created two subnet sub sorry, not two, many. Um just 1 minute, everyone. Everyone can see this whiteboard, right? This jam.
Yeah, the one which you're sharing.
Yeah, I'm sharing it on screen also, so that in case you guys are not able to see it, you'll be
I
able
mean,
to see
the
it.
other one, the link you said that is showing access denied, but we can see my screen.
Yeah, so you'll be able to see it on the screen right now.
Mm.
Okay, so this is my public one. This is going to be my public one. Why I'm creating two subnets in two different availability zones for high availability? If one availability zone goes down, for some reason we'll have still all the resources available in the other public zone or other zone in another availability zone. Okay, so which will help you. This is web. This is web data. So I created three types of subnets here. Okay. One subnet is of public type, so it will be anyways attached to IGW, which you understand, right? Wherein all the public resources like your load balancer and other resources will reside in. Okay. Now I have one another tier, web tier, where all of my applications which are not dealing with data, okay, or are stateless, okay, they will be hosted. Okay, there is
Mhm.
a possibility that I host some application which has data also in it, but that's not PII data, that is personal information data, it's just a simple data there. Okay,
Okay.
so that also, that's completely my decision. Although this is no industry standard, there is no hard and fast rule for creating resources, for creating these. You can have your web subnet or resources in your web subnet, in public subnet also, but just
Mhm.
for security level, this is what in this is what generally people follow. But there you can have whatever way you want it to be. You want it to be based on your own scenarios.
Mhm.
And this is data subnet, wherein we'll have a data layer, as in all the data, databases, all the applications that are dealing with PII data, everything. Generally we'll have all the applications dealing with PII data also here. Now, I can have, understand this very, very carefully. Okay? If I,
Sorry, one thing. The web and data is you said is private, is it?
sorry,
The web and data is a private subnet.
yeah, this is
Okay.
private subnet and this
Mm.
is private subnet without NAT. It
Okay.
can be separate subnet with NAT also. This can have NAT also. This can also
Mm.
have NAT. This will have IGW.
Yeah.
Both of them can have NAT. But
Okay.
if you want to keep more secure, you can remove NAT also.
Correct. Correct.
But
Okay. Mm.
important thing here is in this VPC, I can have a certain level of NACL here,
Mm.
saying that allow these requests to this public subnet on this port. Okay.
Okay.
I can have, if I want to have more security, I can have another NACL here, which will not only control requests from outside, because outside requests will not directly land here,
Mm.
but will also handle incoming requests from internal applications also.
Mm.
Internal, internal resources also. Okay, so this
Okay.
can also be controlled via this. Now, last thing is this one. This can have its own NACL, which is allowing access from internal network only to a particular port.
Mm.
Okay, here we can allow all port because there is no PII data here. Here you can restrict the port, restrict the source, restrict from where the request is coming. As in, no public resource can directly reach here. You can say that.
Mm.
You can decide
Okay.
that. That in this web I can allow all the requests coming in from this and this both. That is all the internal network I can allow. Okay, if I want to. In
Okay.
data
Okay.
I can control this even further, saying that I am only going to allow requests coming in from this cider, as in only this subnet has a cider, right? If you give that cider here, you can control that level of security also in this
Mm-hmm.
via leveraging this just one NACL systems. Okay,
Okay.
by putting firewall or by putting a proper level of access or NACL on every subnet. Generally, companies don't leverage it until and unless they have to maintain a high level of security between the networks also. Like in my
Mm-hmm.
internal network also, I want to make sure what I'm allowing them to access. Okay,
Okay. Okay.
same thing, like people are becoming more and more aware about security, more and more their direction is going towards security also. That's where Kubernetes, Istio
Mm.
internal TLS and all of that, mutual TLS and other things we are trying to leverage. Why? Because we want to have more and more security
Security. Mm.
internally in the network also. Okay,
Okay. Okay. Sure.
who can access, what can access, which resource can access, which person can access, which machine can access, etc, etc, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now any questions here?
Yeah, but usually in companies, I mean, who are not so much keen, so they don't allow this level of like
Yeah,
NACLs for each and every subnet.
correct,
Okay.
you're absolutely right.
I mean,
That's what
they will do whatever if they want some conversion, they can do again in a like EC2 level.
perfect.
Okay.
If they want to put it, they'll put it at EC2 level, resource levels, like
Mm.
EC2 level, then like RDS level, other levels.
Ah, okay,
They'll
okay,
put more security there, but they'll not have security here. Okay,
okay,
but this
okay.
is also one level of
One
security,
level of security. Okay.
yeah, which we can implement. And in high level or high like in banking systems, they do need these level of securities.
Mm.
Why? Because there it's all about money and all of that data, and they are very, like I already mentioned yesterday, banks and financial institutions, NBFCs, all of these institutions need to maintain a certain level of security internally as well, because as you have already seen in case of Paytm, if you don't do a certain level, or if you don't maintain a certain level of security for the customer, you lose customers trust. And you might, because there are strict rules and guidelines by the government as well, so that also you'll have to implement properly, else your business can be stopped.
Mm.
Okay, your reputation can go down, your business can stop, just because you're not maintaining a certain level of security, certain level of guidelines that are given by the constitution of that particular company. In India, it's still not that hard. Okay, but in other countries it is very very strict, very strict. Okay.
Mhm.
um like example, in few days back we had a project wherein we have to copy the data, because the company is from Singapore and they have their operations in China, so they have some resources in AWS China region as well. Okay, in China AWS also.
Mhm.
So now when they want to process that request, they'll have to copy the data from China bucket to, or China resource to Singapore resource. That copying itself is being governed by the government,
Mhm.
and not everything can be just went ahead and copied. Okay, so that kind of data, like countries are very
Country
very,
regulations will be there.
yeah, countries are very keen about not being able, like they don't want their data, or uh, their confidential data, their financial data to move or stay anywhere outside the country. Okay, you
Mm.
can keep everything in the country, do whatever you want to do in the country, but my data will not go outside in another country, even if it is in AWS. So if you are operating in Singapore, okay, or Philippines, if you are operating in Philippines, okay, you can only keep data in Singapore region only, or in Philippines region only. If you're talking about Philippines, you can only keep data in Philippines. If you want to keep it in cloud, keep it in cloud. If you want to keep it in server, keep it in server, but it will only reside in Philippines only. Okay,
Mhm.
same thing, there are a couple of rules and regulations for which are imposed by every country for their people. Okay.
Mhm. Okay, okay.
So all the institutions, all the financial institutions will have to implement that. It's not only about financial institutions, I'm reiterating back, it's for other institutions also. There are rules for others as well. Financial institutions have far more strict guidelines than the other ones. Other ones can be a bit lenient, but again, PII, any personal information for any person, any PII data cannot be given, shared, or be in any unsecured system.
Mhm.
Okay,
Okay.
why we are talking about security so much is because we are learning about security and security systems here in AWS, but like in general also we should maintain this level of security. So
Okay.
now this is the architecture that we want to implement in NACLs. Okay, so
Okay.
I want you guys to try it out today and see if you can implement it. Just create one public subnet, one web subnet, and one data subnet. These two will be private, this will be public, this will be public, private, private. Okay,
Mhm. Mhm.
you will have to create EC2 instances in this and this also. Okay, same this and this also. Try to see if you can control access from this to this only at a single port, this to this only at a single port. You can avoid having replication and AZs. You can just build half part of this.
Mhm.
Okay,
Okay.
just build this and this, because we want to understand about NACLs and not about the not have a full architecture and all. So build only half part of it, but see if you can control the traffic that is going in from public subnet to web subnet, from web subnet to data subnets. Oh no, there is no link between a public subnet and a data subnet. Okay, so make sure that public is not able to access data, public is able to access web,
Web.
public web is able to access both. Okay,
Mhm.
and see if you can work it out.
Yeah, correct.
Okay,
Okay.
web is if you want to have more challenging option, then see that web is also not able to access data. Only data can access web.
Data. Why is that data can access
Because
uh,
yeah, web should also access data, because in some way you will have to access and process this PI data somewhere in web. So
mm,
control this on a particular port. Okay, let's try to say it in this way. I wanted to bring in some more restrictions to it, even without having a reason. Let's try to
yeah.
let's try to understand if we can control the system. Okay, if you can control one request from going from here to here, here to here, and here to here, then you will be able to control
Yeah.
it in a bigger scenario also. Okay,
Okay. And
so
these connections will be what type? Ideally.
yeah, let's take SSH for now. Let's just take
Okay.
SSH, because we
Okay.
are building EC2 instances in this. So what you can do is just run nc command,
Mm,
go into that system, try to run nc -vz IP and 22.
mm-hmm.
Like IP is
Yeah.
172.192.1.1. Okay, something like that. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
try to see if you can access it. So if this works, SSH will work. So from public subnet, try to SSH to this and this. Try
Mm-hmm.
to run this command for EC2 instance, which is there here, and EC2 instance, which is there here, and see this should work and this should not work. From web, try to access public, but all of this interaction should only happen on public private IP, not on public IP.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, because I don't want web to go to internet and via internet access this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to directly access this internally in the network,
Internally. Okay.
because when your request is going to internet and then coming back to your network again, it is latency. It is adding up to the latency, because it is going to internet is
Yeah.
resolving it, then sending back to the same network. It's better, like if I want to talk to you and you're sitting nearby me, it's better to go ahead and talk to you directly
Yeah.
rather than calling you up. Okay, um
And
second thing
also
is, it
that
is
will add
better to
cost.
talk like this rather than talking on phone. If you talk on phone, somebody else can also listen if they tap into that same network.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because all of this traffic that's going in can also be interrupted
Mm-hmm. Okay.
again. So by attackers, all of these traffics can be interrupted and can be read if in case it is not secured. So better have it in this way. Even if it is secured, there are like lot of ways to uh, like break the traffic, read the traffic and all of that. This is which is why we will try to, if there is any data, then if you are sitting in the same network, then talk to you directly rather than going via this.
Okay.
Okay, so try to implement it. We will implement it in our next class. We will definitely implement it in the class itself also, but
Mm-hmm.
I wanted you to try it out. Okay, I wanted to do it today also, but then I thought that it's better for you guys also to try this out and see if you can get it working. Okay, I'll take a screenshot of this and uh, share it on the channel and see if you guys are comfortable with this. Okay, definitely try it out, try to implement if you can work it out. If you can't do the testing, then just implement it